effort they gave. We tried to move practice up a little bit to beat the rain that never showed, so I'm definitely not a weatherman, and we got to improve on that for sure. We thought it was coming up on the radar, but I was very pleased with the kids' effort, toughness. We got to coach for kids to stay up more. We got too many guys on the ground. We got to improve tempo in and out of the huddle on offense. We got to improve on defense. We didn't play the run very well today. It was the first time in pads. It was kind of disappointing that we didn't strike blockers better. But our kids fought and tried, and we're still in an installation mode where we're trying to install things and get better as a group. But I was pleased with the effort, not necessarily pleased with some of the results in some of the periods. But we'll continue on from there. I'll open it up for questions.
Coach, what have you, when you look at Jacob Eason, what he's done the first, from just a mechanical standpoint, what you see in him as a quarterback, do you like what you're seeing in that regard?
I tell you, I like his arm talent. We knew he was blessed with great arm talent. Jacob is a kid that can make a lot of throws out there. He can make some big time throws with his arm. He's still going through a learning curve. He's still getting in and out of the huddle, enunciating all the words in the call. Leadership in the huddle is very important. But he's improved in that area over a 3-day period. And again, I told y'all it was a step-by-step process for this kid where we're not trying to take 3 steps before we take 1 step. Most important thing for us is to take 1 step forward. And he's done that each day. He's improved. He's got to continue to do that for 15 complete practices.
Kirby, I have to ask a follow-up on the term in the transfer situation.
Do I have to answer it?
Up to you.
Okay.
Do you see where people would say, and I might say it too, that it's unfair to restrict players from doing that, whereas coaches can move around,
Certainly.
like you just did?
And we would also say that when you restrict a kid, they have an appeal process. And in my experience, 90% of transfers are granted without any restriction. The 10% that are restricted, they have an appeal process they can go through, and it goes out of my hands. It goes to a committee who hears it, and they give them a result. And most of the time, the kids win those.
Were there any other kids that expressed interest in going to Miami? Or was
No.
AJ didn't.
AJ did not. And I want to make that clear. I think there's a big misnomer out there. And some people quoted and said, somebody said that he went through an appeal process. He didn't go through an appeal process. AJ's happy as he can be. He got exactly what he wanted. He got exactly what he ended up requesting. He made it clear to me that he did not want to go to Miami. And he didn't want to go to Florida either. So that was not a point of emphasis for us. So.
Was anything similar with Jonathan Abram? Was he restricted?
See, I wasn't part of the Jonathan Abrams. That was he was released before I was ever hired.
Kirby, is there anything you've gotten to know about this team that you didn't know seeing them on the field? I mean,
Yeah,
I
tell you
know it's
what,
early.
they compete, man, and I love competitors. I mean, I love it. They compete, and they try hard, they practice hard, they give good effort. I mean, I coached here in 2005, I guess it was the same way. You know, kids compete, they're competitive, and I'm very pleased with that. First couple days, well, the first day, I wasn't really pleased with the effort of running to the ball on defense, but then we got that corrected. So what you see as a coach is you see the offense do something really good, then the defense emphasizes it the next day, and they do better, and then the offense takes a step back. And I'm trying to get both of them to take a step forward instead of one jumping over the other, alternating practices. And but they compete. That's the #1 trait I'll say about them right now. I don't think our toughness is where it needs to be. I don't think our physical or mental toughness is where it needs to be. But we got to improve on that.
I know it's only been a week, but anything surprised you about this team, or just one player in particular just kind of stood out to you?
I really can't say that one play has. If I had to say anything, that it would just be the awareness and intensity of the offense to get in and out of the huddle. I've been impressed with that. I'm very pleased with that. You know, with Coach Chaney, I've obviously had to go against his offenses in my history, and I wondered how they got a lot of their personnel groupings and formations, and I see now how they got that done, because throughout practice, they practice it. They practice getting different formations, motion, and doing this, doing that, things that didn't get you in trouble in the game. They call stupid penalties. And he's done a good job executing that stuff and getting kids to do it. So I've been pleased with that.
As far as the other early enrollees, you see a lot of head spinning out there, so they pull pads.
Sure, I'd hate to call anybody out because I don't want to do that to them, but it's a challenge for them. They're in over their heads initially, And I guess there's 6 of them out there, right? So those guys they flashed, each one of them has flashed at some point, but they flashed good and they flashed bad. And we gotta get more flash good out of them and try to improve on that. But it's different, man. It's fast out there. And they've gotta get used to that. It's good intensity and good rep work for them.
What about Riley Ridley in particular? It seemed like he's kind of get some good reps there from what we've been able to see.
So you saw him do that in Indy?
In
I thought
Indy?
I thought everybody repped in Indy. What periods are y'all out there for?
2, 3, and 4.
Like 2,
Mhm.
3 is Indy, so he's
Okay.
doing a good job in Indy at work, and then that's good. I'm glad you saw that. But he's working hard, getting reps, and keeping it up. But Riley is a kid that's going to be able to help us because he's physical. He's got good size. He's got a lot to learn. The learning curve is really great for him because he hasn't been in this style of offense yet.
Can you tell if y'all are building towards where y'all need to be for G-Day?
When you say building towards where we need to,
Well, you're three practices into it. You got 12 more to go.
we've taken steps forward, yes.
How many backwards have it been?
We haven't had it backwards yet. We just put on pads. So, to me, the first day in pads is usually a lot of juice and energy popping. It's from here forward where my history has been. There's a day that some guys take a step back and they don't want to go out there and hit and be physical. And we basically only got physical practices left. We got one short stay left and it'll be right before G-Day. So we got to continue to step forward. But we have for 3 days. I'll say this, like I said before, offense has done a little better one day, defense a little better, and they just kind of go like that, where I want both of them to take a step forward.
I'm not asking if Will Chubb be ready for the opener thing, but with him out there doing what he's doing, how does that fit in with your I know other guys like Roquan, Brendan Douglas, these guys are in black jerseys, they're doing some early stuff rather than just running on, they're in full pads.
Right.
That's new. Is that
Yeah,
how
I'm
you
a little bit
handle-
lost. Are you saying black jerseys are in full
how-
pads?
The fact that these guys, these injured guys are going through some drills
Right, that's
early in practice.
what I'm used to. I'm the head coach, right? So I'm trying to get like I want it. So like when we go to black jersey, you go out there and you practice and do what you can. Nick can't do some things those other guys can, but I want a black jersey guy to do everything he can. So like Roquan, he can't go hit people, but it might be a 7-on-7 where they throw the ball all the time. He can go do that because we're not going to ask him to hit anybody. So he's getting the mental reps and he's getting the mental part and he's tagging off instead of hitting. Where Nick has a black jersey on, he can't hit. So I think y'all get to see him in that one, they call it play polish, and they do ball drills, You get to see him there, but I think if you were there the whole practice, he's not doing, he can't do all that stuff. But Roquan and them can do a little more. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and is Nick doing more than you thought he would, or is?
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, Ron told me when he was going to do some straight line running and a little start cutting. He said, I'm comfortable with him doing play polish. So I know what play polish is. I used to coach the running backs. It's when you work on your handing the ball off, that kind of thing. So he's running straight ahead doing that. Now, if he had to cut in that drill really hard, we wouldn't do that with him. So yeah, I'm pleased he's doing it, but I can't tell you whether I'm shocked or surprised. I'm just comfortable with what the doctors are letting him do because I obviously don't have that expertise that they do to make that decision.
How do you feel about the defensive line? It seems like a lot of numbers, but a lot of young guys there.
A lot of young guys there. I tell you what, Coach Rocker's working them hard. I can promise you that. They're getting coached tough and they're working hard. They've lost some good size and there's some good players. I just saw those guys on what day was it, Wednesday? I mean, that pro day or whatever day it was, man, they were some good-looking guys there, especially the pass rushers. But there's not enough depth to me in the offensive and defensive line, but those kids are playing hard, and there are some young kids. There's some young kids over there that are having to grow up and get reps. I mean, Julian's right there taking reps with the best of them, and he's got a lot of learning to do. He's got a long way to go as far as stamina, but he's working. He's got
I saw on the roster that Atkins was moved to nose. Is that more do you see him filling in there this year, practicing primarily there?
Well, to me, Atkins played some nose last year. It's just they had big nays too. So a little bit of it is what style of defense are you in? Are you in a 4-3 front or are you in a 3-4 front? We do both. So he'll play both. So when you say he's moved to nose, it's just that's where he's repping. But he's playing 3 technique, he's playing tackle, he's playing nose. There's no difference to me. Every D lineman plays every position. 5, 4, 3, play them all.
How are y'all moving through spring right now with banged up running backs? I mean, it's Brendan, Nick, and
Tough.
so 2 guys are getting a lot of reps all the time.
Well, we got guys in black jerseys that can do certain things. Like
Right.
Brennan is in a black jersey to y'all, so he's not like in a black jersey like Nick. You know, he can do certain things, so he gets to do a little bit extra, and he takes some reps in some pass periods and some different things. But it's tough, guys. We've got a problem there. We've got a deficiency there, and we've got to hope that Nick gets healthy. We may have to look at moving somebody to that position. We talked about it as a staff, who could move there, who could kind of double teach this position and this position, you know. And we signed one guy there that's coming in.
Have you talked with him at all, say, hey, you need to?
Oh, he was out there today. I don't know if you saw him. He was out there today, so he's quite aware that there's a sense of urgency there. He's done a really good job of trying to come over and watch as much stuff as he can so that he can be prepared. You know, but that's, you know, I probably was in error when y'all did the press conference the other day and y'all talked about what's your depth problem. I mean, after 3 practices, that's a bigger problem than probably anything else for us.
Kind of follow up, I'm sorry to interrupt you, kind of follow up on that just real quick as far as recruiting goes. I know you can't mention names and that kind of thing, but you, now for next year's class, say we've got signed 2, 3 backs to kind of fill this void.
You said it. I mean, we got to sign at least that. You know what I mean? I mean, we're selling that anyway, and most of these guys have figured out I don't want to be the only back, because then I'm the only back out there at practice, so they won't, you know, buddies. I always tell the Terrell Davis story. You know, when I was here, Terrell didn't get a ton of carries, but he played a long time in the NFL, you know, and it pays off sometimes when you got a little left in your engine when you get up there. These kids in recruiting, they look into that stuff. They know it. So we have a need there, and you know what? We got a commitment too that we can sell. We got a commitment from Coach Pittman and Coach Chaney's experience at Arkansas that we can run the ball.
Kirby,
Got time for 2 more?
Kirby, the fan base is clamoring to know more about your coaches. Would you mind giving maybe a 1-word description of your 3 coordinators? And then also talk about the freshman day.
Okay, that's tough. 1-word description. I mean,
Or you know, if you wanna elaborate, even better.
That counts 2 questions. You asked both of them. You asked both of them. Well,
I mean, 2 people.
Pick one you wanna answer.
As far as Shane, very detailed and organized. He does a good job organizing our special teams and having energy for that. Coach Chaney, I like to say experience, and they're all high energy guys. So I could drop energy on all 3 of them. Coach Tucker, I would say presence. You know, he's got great presence about him. I love sitting in his meetings because he always has something extra, something you're not expecting to keep the kids' attention, to make it fun. You know, make it fun for the players. And Coach Chaney's the same way. You know, I'm becoming a better coach by sitting in those meetings and popping in on guys. So number 1, I can hold them accountable, but number 2, I can listen to what they're selling so I can emphasize it to the players better with them.
Thanks.
You know what I mean?
Did you interact with Coach Bobo today, or?
Yeah, sure did. Great dude. He's you talking about George Bobo, right? Yeah, I got to see Mike. I appreciate him coming out. It's always good to get opinions from somebody else, and it was great to have him out there because I think he's a great offensive mind, and he helps me. He can see things that maybe I can't see and talk to me about, and he's a guy that he's for Coach Richt, he's for Coach Smart, he's for the University of Georgia, and he's given a lot of his life. His family's been here to this place, and it's important to me that he does give input and he does a good job, and so does his dad. Thank you guys, appreciate y'all. Sorry I was running behind.